All right, we are live. Okay, everybody, give us some time. Let's put a little bit of music on. Hey, welcome everybody to another live session. We're gonna give it a little bit of a minute, let people log on. How's everybody feel today? Hey, we're listening to Legend. You guys know who Legend is? You guys gotta listen to Legend. Legend's always dropping heat. Okay, so I always got this little thing I do, right? As you log in, I want you to shout out where you're from. All right, shout out your dance name and where you're from, whether what state, what country. All right, I want to see how many people, different places we got. Beat Slayer. Let me see, who do we got? What's up, everybody? Aquaboogie. Another episode of Real Talkism. We're actually going to be doing some dancing too. So, you know what you guys can do outside of shouting out? Romania in the house. That's what I'm talking about. You can also stretch with me too. Hey. We got Romania in the house. What other countries and states do we got? India. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, India? We got Romania and India in the house. I'm sorry, guys, if I don't recognize your flag. My bad, okay? Oh, we got ATL in the house. Yeah. South Florida, of course. Hey, my peoples. If you guys don't know, I was born and raised in Miami, South Florida. Yes, party town. Yes, Canada. Okay, Philippines. That's what I'm talking about. France. Yes, that's right. Be proud where you're from, y'all. We're all connected. South Florida. Yes, of course. Miami. Where you at? Let me see what other ones we got. Keep shouting out. What's up, man? How are you, man? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Italy, okay. What's up, my friends? Yes. I hope everybody's being safe out there, too. Be careful, okay? My bad if I don't know your flag. Make sure you mention the actual name of your country. India in the house, yes. My friends from India. Yes. Naples, okay, I love Naples. I love the Naples. I love the pier here in Naples. All right. They're right next to me. All right, let's bring it down a little bit. Okay. All right, we're gonna start first with our discussion portion as we let people log on, and then we're gonna go into our dance portion. Okay, so if unless you're actively involved in this next part, which we'll do some questions at the end, you can stretch as I do this. Okay, so you guys start warming up, start stretching, because we're gonna go into some concepts both with popping and waving. So as I go into this brief portion in the beginning, stretch out, warm up. I already did a little stretching, a little warming up, so I'm good, okay? All right, we're gonna start off. And I proposed a question, right? How do you stay relevant in dance or your art form? How do you stay relevant? And for those of you that may not speak English so well because you're from another country, relevant means, I guess, important. I guess would be another active, another way of explaining what relevant is. So the longer you're in dance, the longer you're in any culture whatsoever, you're going to see change happening. Change is going to happen. Change is inevitable in life, period, especially in dance and dance culture. So when change happens, sometimes we don't like change, right? I can tell you I didn't like change. I started the dance when there was barely any websites for the dance. There was like a couple websites. I happened to be one of the first writers for the culture back in those days. And there was a pureness to that era. It was pure. It was kind of like the 80s, but we had more communication. You know what I mean? We had ways of sending each other emails. You know, back in the 80s, things weren't documented. It was hard to communicate. Everything was isolated. The only thing that connected us was television and music videos eventually, right? But the 90s was special. People had computers and we had dial-up already. Okay, for those of you guys that know what dial-up is, right? And we used to communicate. We already had our websites. Mr. Wiggles was one of the first people that had a website dedicated to hip-hop, and I used to write for that website, right? So it was beautiful because people would log on and we would communicate the way we're communicating now. But it wasn't live. It was just messages and forums. People would like leave messages and like, hey, how do you popular this? And you try to explain it. That's what made me a better teacher, because we had to type everything out. You know, it was hard even getting some stuff on footage back in the day, right? So it helped us to communicate. And now we got this. This is our new form of communication. Now I'm communicating with many countries right now simultaneously. So you can imagine this is a special era that we're in, but we're also got to remember the eras that came before. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because of change. Now, when things started changing, some of us didn't like it, and our natural reaction is to fight change. Okay? Instead of, what I learned later is you don't fight change, you find ways to ride the change that suits you. Okay? So sometimes you may not want to have every single app that comes out, every single thing that comes out, but you need a social media presence now. Okay? It's not that's just one little tiny example of balance with what I'm talking about. As a dancer, you may not like all the new music that comes out, especially the older you get, right? So as a dancer, it's still our responsibility to stay connected with today's music. I'm sorry. Music and dance go hand in hand. You don't have to like everything, you know. Chances are the older you get, the less you find that attracts you, because you start getting set in your likes, you know. So I want to go and read off a few things that I think is important for you to stay relevant in your dance or art form, okay? And these are things that I actually put some thought into, and afterwards we could talk a little bit about it, okay? Know when to change lanes. Ooh. Do you guys know what that means? It's like you're driving on the highway and you see a sign that says lane closure, okay? You're gonna have to change lanes. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to change lanes, because if you don't change lanes, you're gonna crash. You see a sign that's telling you, hey, your knees are hurting more than usual, you know. You've had X amount of injuries. Maybe take a break from the tour life to figure out this education life. That's just another, you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to learn how to when to change, all right? How do you change lanes as a dancer? Okay, big one, okay? In the beginning, we're all chasing opportunities. We chase opportunities. On audition, you're going to find an opportunity. All right, when we go to an audition, we go to find opportunity to lead us to the next level, right? And it's okay. This is a beautiful time in a dancer's life, because you're out there competing. You're out there like, I got this, right? And as you get older, that becomes tedious, and it becomes like something you don't want to deal with sometimes. You know, as you get older, you also start realizing that maybe I want to do more of the production side, and that's okay. You can still be involved with dance, but you may want to produce more. Produce videos, produce concept films, whatever the case. But you start thinking, maybe I don't want to chase opportunities, I want to create opportunities. So you start becoming someone that creates opportunities, not just for yourself, but for the next dancers in line. And then as they start respecting you for that, you start moving up into a next level. Okay, and what that does is creates lanes for everyone to coexist. We can all coexist. You don't have to be competing with me. If I'm 20 years older than you, there's no competition there. You see what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't have to be going for the same jobs. Straight up, right? We have to learn how to change lanes. So, as a dancer, you can get stuck. And how do you get stuck? Okay, you find yourself 30s and 40s in a room full of 20-year-olds in an audition. Not only are you going to see the difference in the way they dress, the way they act, the music they listen to, you're going to see mad differences that might not jive with you because of change. Remember that? That big C word, change, right? So you have to learn how to move along. And then once that lane starts getting narrow for you, you create another one. You feel what I mean? Like you're constantly creating lanes for yourself. You don't have to wait for someone to create a lane for you. You don't have to wait for someone to create a job for you. You create it yourself. You figure it out. You have access to the internet. You can look things up. You can create it, all right? So change lanes when you see it's time to change lanes. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. You know, you may teach at a dance studio at 20s. You might want to own one in 30s. You might want to own a chain of dance studios in your 40s. Do you see what I'm saying? You evolve. The dream doesn't stay stagnant, because a stagnant dream is not a dream, it's a box. Oh, hold on, I gotta step back for that one. Let that sink in for those that understood. A dream that doesn't evolve is not a dream, it's a box. Woo. Ooh, I'm gonna have to cut and splice that later on and reshare that. You know what I mean? Okay, so change lanes. All right. Another ways that you stay relevant is uplift the next generation. Uplift them. Uplift them, and if you're changing lanes, you're gonna want to uplift them. You're not gonna be bitter. You're gonna be happy because you're in your own little world, and you want to uplift the next generation. People that are coming up, help them. Don't be in competition with them. Real talkism. Yes. Don't be in competition. Lift them up. Grab, like, hey, listen, you're doing this wrong. Can I help you? Oh, you don't want my wisdom? That's cool. You know what I mean? You see what I mean? Like, help them. Another way is to evolve your style. Evolve your style. Evolving your style means that going back and seeing the new innovations in dance and seeing how you can feed off of that creatively, not copy it, but feed off of it. So evolve your style. So make records of yourself dancing as we normally do now. Everyone's got a smartphone nowadays. Videotape yourself a lot. Go back and compare yourself for a year ago, 2 years ago. And you want to see evolution. Evolution is just change on a high level. Evolution is just change on a high level. You don't necessarily have to stay doing the same moves you were doing 5 years ago, okay? Because it identifies who you are. If you keep changing and creating just as spectacular signature moves 10 years down the road, you're recreating yourself. That's how you stay relevant. Evolve your taste in music, okay? As you get older, right? I'm in my mid-40s. I've been listening to everything, so you can imagine, you know what I mean? You listen to so many things, right? But I make it my duty to find music nowadays that's brand new that relates and resonates with me. So I'm not ever dissing the new music as a whole. I never do that. Like, oh, new music sucks. Don't catch yourself saying that. No, new music doesn't suck. It doesn't all suck. New music doesn't all suck. it's your searching ability that might suck. You know, you might not want to be searching. You might just want to listen to your, you know, your playlist. And that's okay if you do, but honestly, if you want to stay in tune with today, find out what people that are young are listening to constantly, no matter what age you are. Find things to relate to that you can still be you, but you can enjoy what they're enjoying. All right, next one is most of all, be true to yourself throughout the process. Don't lose yourself in that process. Okay, don't think that you have to change lanes or force yourself to change lanes when you're not ready to. Just be true to yourself. All right, if you're really feeling it, you're feeling it. If you're not, you're not. You don't have to sit there and question yourself. Just be true to yourself. All right. So how's everybody feel? You guys like that? Give me some little heart emoticons. Make sure that you guys are still with me. Okay. Make sure you guys are still with me. All right. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. We're going into some really interesting things, okay? Originally, I was just gonna go into popping off the 1 and popping off the 2. What's the difference of that, okay? So let's go over popping off the 1 and popping off the 2. Could you lower the music a little bit? Thank you, Goldie. All right, so popping off the 1, popping off the 2. I didn't create this term. This term has been in the culture for a very, very long time. The way I learned it, it was from Jazzy J, original popper from the West Coast. You guys probably heard of him. But if you don't, look up Jazzy J, all right? He lives in New York now. But he broke this down and it really made sense to me. And this is about timing in popping. Certain timing, okay? Timing. So, few things. When we're talking about popping off the 1 and popping off the 2, let's go into popping off the 1 first. Because that's where pretty much mostly everyone pops on the 1. And I'll explain what it is. We normally count dance in 8 increments, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Break that and just create a repeating 1. A repeating 1. Now, what does that do? Pop, 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 pop. Okay, everybody pop to this right here. You guys got that?
Snap loud.
All right, yeah, I got a loud snap. Right? Yeah, did that hurt y'all ears? All right. Can I get a track real quick? All right, we're gonna pop off the 1. I'm gonna do really basic poses. It's not about me, it's about you. Just make sure you follow along, okay? Bring it up just a little bit. DJ Goldilocks. All right. So I want you to start here. Do this as a drill. All right, most people pop here on the 1. Okay? Everybody pop right here. This is popping on the 1. Now, notice it always lands on the clap too, though. Clap, 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 clap. All right, pause the music. Thank you, though. All right, popping off the 1. Most people pop on the 1, okay? Now, let's go into popping on the 2. And after we know the difference, I'm going to explain how you can use popping off the 2 to your advantage. Okay, so we just did 1, 1, 1, 1. Now we're going to 1, 2. But you're going to hold the 1 and pop on the 2. So if you're going 1, 1, 1, 1, now you're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right? Can I have the music back on? Thank you. All right, let's pop off the 2. All right, pop off the 2. All right, there's a pause. All right, pop off the 2. Here we go. Follow me. Simple. 5, 6. Pop off the 2. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. On the 1. 2. All right. Thank you, Joker. All right, so 1 and 2. All right, 1 and 2. So remember, here are the advantages of popping off, for instance, the 2. Now, if you go here and you're popping here the whole time, this is popping on the 1. You have less time in between pop or hit to move. Less time. So that means your movements might be limited to certain angles. Angles. That was called beast mode, right?
Beastinum.
Beastinum. Legend. Track me. Alright? Beastinum. Alright. So once again, if you're constantly hitting here, you have less time to put moves in between. So you're limiting yourself to certain angles, which is fine, or certain grooves. All right, now, if you constantly pop on the 2, you allow yourself to put more combinations in between the hit. All right, so if I come here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I like popping off the 2, especially with waves, because you could wave in between. Pop the hit, do 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 do, pop, do 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 do, pop. Okay, you can wave and do more moves in between the hit. So, or the pop. So popping off the 2 sometimes is my go-to. Okay, but you got to know the difference, because this goes along with everything. If you're tutting, you can squeeze more combinations, pop, before you actually hit. If you're popping off the 2, if not, you're gonna give me pop, pop, pop. Pop, 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 right? And you're constantly gonna be on, okay? So those are the best 2 beginning timing for popping, and then it gets more evolved after that. All right. So popping off the 1, popping off the 2. I'm gonna open for some explanations right after this last segment. Do you know how much time that we got on the clock, Goldilocks?
It's 11:24.
Beautiful. We got definitely enough time. All right. Popping off the 1 and popping off the 2. Okay. Now, how do you set up your waves? How do you set up your waves? Okay. Now, you can set up your waves as creative as you want to be. All right. You can go crazy with this concept, but I'm going to explain some of the more basic ones so you know at least what that means. All right. There's a term I want to teach you guys. You can write this down. Setup and delivery. Setup and delivery. You set up the wave and you deliver the wave. You set it up and you deliver. And delivering, remember if we've gone over other class, is you begin, all right, a wave and you finish it. Okay? You begin a wave and you finish it. You set up and deliver. Okay? A lot of people set up and don't deliver. That's terrible. Don't do that. Don't set up and not deliver. Okay? You're gonna disappoint people. All right? Like if I went, okay. All right. So, anyways, and you're like, what happened? I just thought you were about to do the mega wave and you left it. What happened? That's like a setup with no delivery, okay? So it's like you're setting up a joke and no punchline. That's not cool. Don't do that, okay? So setting up a wave is giving the viewer a beginning, okay? giving the viewer a beginning of where the wave is going to start in your body, right? And by drawing attention to it, either with a hand or other things, we can get creative with this. By drawing attention to that part of your body, the viewer is going to look. So if I go like this, boom, very classic one, the viewer is looking at my hand. I just gave the viewer a beginning to the wave. Right here, bam. And now, boom, I delivered it. Notice there was a hit here, boom, 1, 2. Back to the hitting on the 2, right? So you give them a beginning and you deliver the wave, boom, okay? Give it a beginning and you deliver. All right. The really early ones began here with tracing, right? Let's take it a step further. Let's do a drill that you begin the wave in different places. So this next drill is begin the wave in odd places. Begin the wave in odd places. Places that viewer might not expect. All right. First one would be shoulder. See what I just did? I brought this wave and boom, my shoulder started isolated. And then I go boom, 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 back. Boom. Boom, 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 back. See? So I began the wave here. Alright? Let's try chest. Alright? Begin the wave in the chest. You go boom. Boom. Okay? Let's try knee. Ready? Boom. Okay? You can go crazy with this concept. I do one with a head. Boom. Alright, so boom, 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 boom. Here's where the wave begins, and then it goes through the body. Back through. Boom. So, as a drill at home, try practicing to begin your wave in very different places. Now, I'm going to back up here. Sometimes I have jumped into a position. Boom. See what I just did? I would jump into a position. Boom. And I would begin the wave in odd places. What you're doing to the viewers, you're keeping them engaged. You're like, oh, okay. You're giving me a beginning. You're giving me an end. I can see where you're going. It's not just a bunch of information. And that's how you spoon feed the audience. And you start leading them to more complicated combinations. All right? Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about in this section is when I used to tour all the time and I did shows back to back, right? One of the things that I realized is that if you go out and you throw all your best moves at the audience in the beginning, they're not going to know what you did sometimes. They're not going to know what you did. Why? Because you didn't teach them how to process. Okay? Especially in that era with me, most people have never seen popping live, especially, so we were on stage. I had to spoon feed them. What does that mean? I would go out there and go, boom, right? Microwave, just so they can see, okay, there's the beginning, there's the end, boom. Then I'll do simple strobes. There's the beginning, there's the end. Then I will do a simple slow motion walk. There's the beginning, there's the end. Boom, and then I started more complicated waves. There's the beginning, there's the end. And then I started going more complicated, and I'm hitting them at the end. At the end of the solo, I'm hitting them with crazy combinations, and people are like, wah! Right? They start and they follow you, okay? If you go out there, all right, we're not in competition always, where you gotta get everything out and around. Especially in performing, street performings on stage, you give them to them incrementally and they'll follow you. All right? I've seen people go out there and kill it. Some of the dancers are like, oh, right? On the side of the stage, like, yo. But the audience wasn't getting it. Why wasn't the audience getting it? Too much information. too much. You're like, and then it's all coming at the audience. They don't even know if they should look at something, a part of your body or your body as a whole. You're just giving him moves, and they're like, at the end, they're clapping because they know it's hard. They're looking at each other. They're like, that was difficult. I can't do that, but did you understand that? No. Had no idea what happened. And this is what's going on in the people in the audience. They're like, I have no idea what happened. All right? So, spoon feed incrementally. All right? Set up your waves. Deliver. Don't just give them too much information, especially with performing. Build up to and hit them. And hit them so that by the end of your solo or whatever, they're like, minds are blown. Because you took them in a roller coaster ride. But you know that part in the roller coaster where it goes, and then it's, right? You got to do this part. That's the setup of the spoon feeding. And this is when you hit them with everything. All right? That's another mistake I see a lot, especially with people that perform. They're just dumping a bunch of moves out. Audience doesn't even know what they saw. They're like, oh, that was hard. Yes. They're not even looking on stage. They're looking at each other. Why are they looking at each other? Because they're trying to communicate. Did you get that? No. But it was hard though. I can't do it. All right, so remember that. Spoon feed like babies. The audience are babies. The audience are infants. And that's a cool visual. Next time you perform, imagine you're performing for an audience of infants. Okay? Just the tiny little babies, little cute little babies. It's hilarious, right? And when you do that, spoon feed them. Here you go. Here's a little bit for you. Here's a little bit for you. You know what I mean? That's what you do with your dance. That's what you do. So don't, you're not going to walk out and give them all a piece of steak. And they don't got no teeth. They're like, hey, Junior, chop this down. No. That's what some of y'all do. You give babies a big piece of steak and they're like, how do I eat this? You know what I mean? You're right. Think about that. Next time you perform, next time, it's not a competition always. You don't got to get it all out in one round. Give them little by little by little by little by little and pow. Right? You start off with baby food, you end with filet mignon. Boom. You got that? All right. So that's one of the best ways to set up not just waves, but your moves as a whole. If you're not on this train of mind, this should open up a whole new level of thinking. All right, we got a couple minutes left. I'm gonna open up for some questions, and my co-host Goldilocks.
You had one. Michael Hiko is asking, is the shoulder better to rotate behind or forward?
Both. That's a good question. When I do this, right, I'll go back, and I actually do this as a drill. All right, now what I always found is that if you're on video, it looks more three-dimensional if you go forward rather than this, So that might help you. But both ways, actually, like I'll go forward, back, forward, and then boom, boom, boom through the rest of the body. Next one.
Still in my head.
Any other questions?
Can you show me your snaking?
All right, so snaking. Moving as one. Now, when I snake, right, what I like to do is I like to usually get a wide stance. I usually like to come here, boom. Now, a lot of these are creations that I didn't create, like the puppet hands, right? The puppet hands gives a level of dimensions, boom. Now, from here, I can isolate just my neck or my chest in a cobra. And now, as I do this, I'm able to use my legs in different manner. All right, and there's a drill in the Wei Chun that you imagine there's a a bar that you go under, boom, and then you go under the bar and snake through it. Right? So these are all basics of how I approach snaking. Now, one thing I don't like to do, big no, I don't like to look like Taco or anyone when I snake. I don't want to look like anyone. I want to try to figure out different ways of doing it. So a lot of people sometimes will copy too much, and it's okay in the beginning, but afterwards you have to pull away. Remember, you gotta find your own identity with it. So when you snake, look at your inspirations, take from them, but not literally. Take from them, but not literally. Don't take the move, take the inspiration to create the move, okay? Any others?
She says thank you, very clear. Somebody has a question. How do you make connections in waving?
How to connect your waves.
How do you make a connection in waving?
All right. Here's a good drill, how to strengthen your connections. What I mean by connections, I'm figuring that you want to connect different styles of waves. Not sure exactly what you mean, but let me give you my interpretation of what you're saying. When you begin a wave, right, you want to connect it to a body part, right? So not only, you have to know the mechanics of the wave, right? Notice how I use my trap, shoulder, boom, 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 boom. And I connect my waves this way. But here's a drill to expand that even further. When you go home, choose 2 wave styles. Let's choose microwave, tidal wave. Now, tidal wave is a really big wave. Microwave is a really tiny wave. So as a drill at home, start off with a big tidal wave, and then end with a microwave. Start off with a big tidal wave, end with a microwave. That is going to start teaching you to not stay in the same wave style throughout the whole round. Like begin and then connect it to another style. Now evolve that further. Doom, 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 doom. Tiny, doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 pow. Doom, 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 doom. Pow. Doom, 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 pow. Now, add more styles. So begin the wave of tidal, go into a microwave, go down a different style of wave, come up another style. Now you're connecting. Also, you're giving the viewer a level. But remember, that would be level 2 or level 3 in the performance. If you want to look at performance of the type of stuff you put out, level 1 would be just regular waves, and then evolve them in connecting them to others. All right. Remember, try to spoon feed a new audience, especially if the audience is not like our dance peers, but it's just a general audience. All right, next one.
Leg pop.
Leg pop. Thank you for reminding me. You know what? I almost forgot.
Yeah, you said you were talking about.
Who said that? Who was it? Who? Logan. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for reminding me. All right, here we go. So I had made a post, right, that it's okay to shy away from the back leg pop. And so what I mean by the back leg pop is this one right here. See that?
Show from the side.
See that? That's the back one. That's the back one, right? So a lot of times we get into here when we're doing the slot or the Fresno and we're hitting them back, okay? What happens with that is that sometimes if you're excited or you're in the middle of dancing, you might overextend and go too back, and then you have major knee issues, major. So I recommend that you do a forward knee hit. Now watch this knee right here. I relax it and I bend it just slightly. You see, this is fully straighten it, bend it slightly. Now I squeeze the quad, boom. See, it goes forward, boom. See that? Boom. See that? Boom. Boom. Now watch this side. Boom. I'm relaxing and I'm focusing on the quad. And by bending it just a little bit, it automatically goes forward. Now, watch what I can do with this. I can go boom. This is called the base leg concept. Now, the base leg concept is the leg that has all your weight is the one that you pop. All right? So if your leg has all your weight, all right, let's do this. Try this. Everyone go like this. Pop this one. Pop the one that you're raising. Go ahead. Go ahead. You probably look like this. Right? Okay. It makes sense, right? Why would you want to pop this one? This one ain't got your weight on it. Now pop this one. Boom. Boom. See that? When I pop it, it affects your whole body. Affects your whole body. You can hear it. Other side. Put all your weight. Boom. 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 See that? Now, this right here will save you so much damage. Now, another drill that I do is I'll do a knee roll, bring my heel and my foot down, and forward knee pop. So you get used to pop. Okay? So you knee roll, pop. Knee roll, pop. Knee roll, pop. Knee roll, pop. Okay? Do that drill with both legs. Pop. Pop. And it'll teach you how to place your foot the right way so you can pop forward. All right? You don't always have to do boom. Also, check this out. I'm doing Fresno with a forward knee pop. Or a slot. Okay? So you don't always have to go back. Now, some people are like, I'm used to doing the back knee hit or the backwards knee pop, and I haven't hurt myself. Cool. But I know too many that have. So maybe not take it completely out of popping, but just limit it and learn the forward knee pop. It's gonna save you so much pain, money in insurance, or money on medical bills. All right, so let's get a couple more questions.
Yeah, what is creeping?
Creeping, all right, so creeping is a book style, all right, that would begin here, pop, pop, pop. Now, when you creep, I pop, boom, and then when I come here, I pop, boom. So I'm popping here, pop, 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 pop. All right, so I'm constantly popping forward at this point because I've trained my knees to pop forward. So even when I do the creep or Fresno slot, I'm still popping forward, and knock on wood. All right, knock on wood. I've had very little knee injuries, especially in my latter years since implementing this technique. All right, let's get one more question. One more question, y'all.
I mean, you got a couple on here.
Yes.
Do you want one about technique? You got somebody asking about crazy legs. There's a lot in there.
So crazy legs, hit up Pop and Pete for crazy legs. Pete, innovator of that. Sometimes I don't even like to elaborate. While I know what it is, I'll let the homie Pete, big brother Pete, let him handle that.
Yes, so why your waves look so different? I mean, the whole system of your waves.
Why do my waves look so different? I've gone over my approach in other classes, but I really do think this is a good one to end off this whole session. My approach, growing up in Miami, right, we were seeing innovations coming from two coasts, okay? Innovations. And there were people waving one way in New York, Boston, okay, Connecticut even, and people were waving another way in California. So I was sitting back as a kid absorbing all this, and as a teenager, and now we're moving into the 90s, as a teenager, I started doing everything I saw together. So I combined the large with the small. And it has a lot to do with my martial arts training. I had a book called The Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. The Tao, or the Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. And basically, Bruce Lee said, take the best of everything and make it your own. Take the best. Don't discriminate. That's why he studied this art form, that art form, and every art form that Bruce studied, he found flaws, okay? And he extracted and got rid of those flaws and chose to keep the best information that's going to evolve him, or that involved him. So I took the same approach to dance and waving and popping. I didn't I saw what everyone was doing, and I took the best and I made it my own, okay? Guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to end this, but I really, really do appreciate you guys tuning in with me. I'm gonna do my best to save this one. So I'm capping it off. Remember, guys, I'll remind you that I do have tutorials with a lot of information that you just learned, both in waving and popping. So hit me up on the DM if you're interested in those. I'm working with everybody. I slashed all my prices half off just because of what we're going through now. Stay safe. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves. Eat healthy. Drink a lot of water. Okay. Even on sorry I did not see you guys on Friday. I actually was not feeling well, and I feel great now. Just be safe out there. Mad love, no bone. Oh, no bone. Love you, dude. What's up? Big shout out to everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right.
Alright, so in now.